joining us on midday.com. We have a filmmaker who never believes in keeping it regular. It has to be quirky. That's Homi Adajania.
Thank you. What a lovely introduction, I say.
So, Saas Bahu Aur Flamingo. Like, we've heard of Saas Bahu or Sazish, but this is something I think people would only expect from you. So, yeah, we also know it was Saas Bahu or cocaine, but now let's Flamingo. So,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh my God.
all the Saas Bahus are, shivering now, but it's okay. Chalo. So, how
No,
did
no.
that?
In fact, it was a very clever change of title. Though I love the first
Huh.
title, but the thing is that it was a very clever change purely from the perspective that, which in fact marketing informed us about, which made a lot of sense, was that a lot of traffic gets blocked because of certain words. So a lot of accessibility will not be permitted for the show for marketing and all if we have this word. So we dropped it and I actually prefer Flamingo now. I didn't initially, I must admit. But I do prefer it now because I think it's bizarrely quirky and the product they make is called Flamingo.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of flamingos flying around that so-called fictitious place that they live in.
Yeah, but it's been quite a long wait. There was COVID in between, and so what was that process like? Because when you have an idea for a filmmaker, I'm sure you're all excited, and then you have to wait.
No, 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 not at all. I'm
Okay,
very happy doing nothing. I'm
that's
more than
fine.
happy living the rest of my life. I've got too many things which I do, and I
Yeah.
absolutely enjoy them. So, no, for me, I mean, I was very, very blessed and very lucky to be. I became a 24/7 gardener of sort. I became a Mali extraordinaire. I was rainwater harvesting, digging wells, planting stuff, eating off the land, and that was my life. And I then finally Dinesh Vijan, the producer, called me up and said, it's now been 2 years. COVID is over. Pull your head out from under that rock and please come back. We've committed to making this web show, which you just told us a story about. Now it's time to make it. And I said, shit, yeah, do we have to start working again? No, but the story actually, the original story, I wrote the story in 2015 or 16 as a
Wow.
three-page concept uh, of this family where the wife and the daughter-in-laws and the daughter are running a cottage industry in the middle of nowhere, and that's just a front, and they're actually running the biggest cartel this side of the globe, and even the men in the family don't know about it. And I thought
Yeah.
that's a very hilarious idea. But saying that the series is actually not about the drug rivalry, and it's actually more uh, about family politics on steroids. It's basically what happens, like the human predicament when power play uh, comes into the comes to the forefront, and how people can be corrupted by their greed for power. Whether they are related by blood or not. And I wanted to explore that, and I've done it in my own bizarre way. Yeah.
I think it was Dimple Kapadia's first look that took us by shock, surprise, everything in between, I think.
See, and I
So
know
that's
exactly
what
what your next question is going to be. So let me tell you before you ask me only. So she came dressed like that, and
oh,
she does that for every role ever since being Cyrus, and that is why I cast her in every film of mine because I'm terrified of her.
okay.
I'm fully joking,
No,
but
no, but that's
I absolutely, yeah, her look is quite khatarnak. It's quite a mad look, no? Uh, but yeah, she's done. I mean, I'm stepping out on a limb here saying something like this, and it's with no bias, and I've done a lot of work with her, but I genuinely think this is one of her best performances ever, ever.
yeah. So we are looking forward to that for sure. And of course, Radhika is also someone you have worked with before, and So how have
Yeah.
you seen her also grow as an actor?
Well, from Tarika and Angrezi medium, who was a college student or school, something like that. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, to suddenly becoming the slightly spothead chemist who's actually putting in the formula for this product which they make. And sort of she's got a different soundtrack playing in her head throughout.
Hmm.
It's damn funny actually. If you see you've seen any stuff or not?
Yeah, of course.
So you see her in her Rolling Stones T-shirt and nothing else, while the others are all wearing some ghagra cholis.
Yeah.
Just a really mad mesh of stuff going on. But for her, I think it was very challenging, and I think, like me, I think she loves to do things that sort of instill a certain amount of fear in her that are unknown, where she's not really sure of how she's going to do something. I think she likes that as it's a challenge as an actor.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't think she really had any idea initially what she was getting into. And then of course she met me the day before her shoot started, and I said, "Come to the set, and I'll take you around the house because the Haveli where we're going to be pretty much living for 3 months, and your laboratory where you work and all that stuff." And on that day before her shoot, I remember telling her about the character, and everything she had thought about the character was diametrically opposite to what I had just told her. And she went home completely. But I think she was shook. And she's told me the story much later. She said, "You won't believe what happened to me. I was just rattled after I met you because everything I thought about this person, you had a completely different vision in spite of all the workshops we had done. Suddenly, when you told me this on set and I was shooting the next day, I said, I'm screwed. And I just went with my gut, went with my instinct, and I just put all my trust into you. And I said, I'm just going to do whatever he says." And I think she's turned out brilliant for her character and very unlike what she's done before.
What I find most interesting is she actually started with the Saas Bahu serial for acting career with Ekta
I
Kapoor.
believe so, and you won't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm so pathetic and shameless. I have no clue what my actors have done. So till today, I remember we were eating dinner where we were staying, and something came up about this Dimple's film Bobby,
Huh.
and they were going on about something, and someone started singing some song, and then they asked me, "What about your?" And I said, "I've not seen it."
Okay.
And they were aghast, and Dimple just turned around, of course, with her choicest abuses, and said, "This mad Parsi, beep 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 beep." And he said he's not seen any of my work, and it's true, I haven't. I genuinely haven't. I mean, and it's not with any disrespect. It's just I don't watch anything. So I mean, I never got down to doing that, and I just ever since we worked together, I've not seen any of her work.
Okay. That's quite interesting.
It's a lovely clean slate on which we meet every time. So when it came to Radhika's thing, also I knew someone told me she had done TV
Yeah.
in passing, and I had no clue. I just heard about this girl because someone showed me the audition of Pataka,
That's
and I was blown away by her audition. And I said, "My God, this girl can really act, and I want to do something with her." And then she had come to the office for something else, and she came. I met her, and she said, so we started chatting, and I was telling her about the audition, and she said, "Please, can I audition for Angrezi medium?"
huh.
And I said, "No, it's not the right age category at all. They want like a 17 or 18-year-old." She said, "Please, please, please." And I just, her hunger and that drive was so impressive. And I just turned around and I said that, "Sure, do it for what it's worth, but you're not going to get it. But go for it. I mean, it's okay." And I got that audition on my table, and of course, she didn't look the part in terms of age, but the way she played that character, I mean, there was no comparison to the others.
Hmm.
So I said that the only way I can do, I mean, why would I not take a stronger performance? So I actually, all the people around her that surrounded her, I made her age and dressed them all as 18-year-olds so she doesn't pop out. And I took a punt on that, but I said no. And I find she's an incredible actor, and she's not even scratched the surface yet of her talent.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. And what we also love about your films and of course now your series as well, that the women are completely mad and quirky and have strong parts more than anything else. Right from
Yes,
Finding Fanny to Cocktail,
as
Deepika, of
they
course,
should,
one of
as they
the best
should, as
roles.
they should.
Yeah, they should absolutely, but that's unfortunately not the case always. But that's something we see in your films. So
But no, Natasha, it's not something I do deliberately. I think it's something that very sort of organically comes from me because I am someone who did not, for the longest time, I was completely naive and unaware of uh, gender inequality. I grew up with very, very, very powerful women around me who lived life as per their own choices without having to explain themselves or uh, apologize or be apologetic about anything, with all their values intact. So they were very well aware that regardless of what I do in life,
Hmm.
if it comes from a good place, if it comes from and I am willing to bear the consequences and I'm aware of it,
Yeah.
nobody can tell me how to live my life and whether I'm a man or a woman. And that was what I was taught from a very young age. And for me, only when and I'm saying I was naive about it because only when I reached college did I realized, my God, there's such a dis- disparity or there's such an inequality that exists in this world. And that pretty much rattled me. I couldn't wrap my head around it because I think when you're hardwired or conditioned in a certain way, exactly the way people who subscribe to hardcore patriarchy are,
Yeah.
when you're hardwired, it is difficult to see another point of view. So for me, it was ulta. I couldn't understand how can this within the same species, how can you be biased based on gender? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me as human beings who have a frontal cerebral cortex. It just I found it completely uh, ape-like as a theory to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's been on for so long that obviously it's a slow process to get a paradigm shift across.
Hmm.
But I feel it's happening way overdue, but I feel it is happening. I mean, by just the more you see in terms of content, and normally content does reflect the times in a strange way, in whichever way, whether it's through a characterization or a full narrative or whatever, it definitely is influenced because the person living in that time is making it. So let's hope it's a glimpse of something which is positive. But in terms of that, in fact, I was talking to someone recently and I said that my women are not empowered because they're running a drug cartel. That's socially
Yeah.
wrong and not something to be pom-pommed about. It's not something that's to be championed. But they are empowered because they're living life on their own terms and
Exactly.
they're willing to take the consequences for the same.
True.
And they are living in a fictitious place which is lawless. So they are law unto themselves. They have their own system of morality because of what life has dished out to them and never had their backs when they were left to die. So it's that kind of stuff. So it's fictitious. But they're strong because they're unapologetic.
Yeah.
They don't have to answer to anyone. They can live as per their own uh, decisions and they will deal with the consequences. And that is why they're empowered, not because of what they're doing. No way. So I definitely didn't want those lines to belong. But my God, yeah, I wouldn't want to cross paths with those women. Definitely not down a dark alley or something.
Yeah.
They're quite fierce. And believe me, they grab onto anything and everything and they don't defend, they attack. They just attack. They just
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, true, absolutely. And there was someone who's always, made what your heart believes in rather than conforming to the formula. Do you find OTT as a blessing actually? Because you don't have the pressure of
I
numbers
think,
constantly,
yeah,
having
yeah.
to adhere to it.
I think OTT is a huge blessing for everyone in this industry.
Mm.
Whether it's the carpenters who build our sets, or it's the directors who make the film, or it's the actors who are so many of them are in work, which is such a blessing to be a working actor.
Yeah.
Uh, and I feel it's not going anywhere. So there's no fear of that purely because now whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But the fact is that 60% of our lives are on screens, and which means just by default we need content. Now,
Mm.
whether long format will become a Insta reel format or what, we don't know. But the fact is, content will always be needed, and it's the need of the. I mean,
Yeah.
it's because it's just how we started living our lives and the way we consume. So in that sense, I feel, there's nothing that can beat the cinema experience, but it's something you can't really compare. You go to the cinema for a spectacle. You go to the cinema to sit with 300 people and laugh in unison, cry in unison, shout, sing. You go to everything is big, larger than life. These are things you can't experience on OTT. But saying that, especially the long format on OTT, is so liberating because you really have time to spend and infuse such layers and nuances into your characters. The audience is now sophisticated enough with 2 years of COVID and only watching OTT. They actually have refined. They consume it in a very different way as to how they would consume a film in a theater, and that makes you change the way the way you position your narrative, because you know that now if Natasha is watching Saas Bahu Aur Flamingo and she is investing in Shanta's character, she's not going to start saying, "Arey yaar, aage बढ़." If Shanta is sitting and doing nothing, she will watch her in her nothingness. She will invest in that nothingness. She will understand the awkwardness and the stay of a scene for some reason. But she will not accept that in a feature film format. It's strange. It's all new days for everyone. I like that. I love that. I love the fact that you can spend time. You don't, like you said, you're not constricted with certain inhibitions that you have on a big parda movie where you need to get your Friday, Saturday, Sunday in. Therefore, you need to have certain names in the cast to have a certain table value who will get you back some proceeds, revenue. You don't need to put in certain commercial songs that you really don't want to put in, but the producer feels must be put in to popularize the product. So yeah, I feel there's a sort of purity which you can experience in OTT, which you may need to compromise a little when you're doing a much larger, when the stakes are larger.
And even after this, you have a very interesting project, Murder Mubarak, which we know about.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. I mean, I just finished, I wrapped it up 3 days ago, I think. And I was sitting back and thinking about it. I said, this is really bizarre. There's such colorful characters, but it's like this murder mystery, and it's with people who are extremely elite and privileged. There is a sort of caustic look at the vulgarity of wealth as a backdrop while a murder mystery is ensuing, and the joy of meeting Pankaj Tripathi. What a beautiful human being. I mean, he just reminded me so much of Irfan in a strange way. At his core, the simplicity, the small town, but the big vision. And I don't know, it was just very, very lovely for me to have experienced that and made a friend along that.
Then that's exactly what we expect from you. If it's not mad, if it's not quirky, then it's not you, for sure. So yeah. No, but having worked with Seth so much, and now Sara also.
Nata after the other, yeah. But now suddenly working with the daughter made me feel very old.
Huh.
I said, shit, has so much time passed? And then someone said 11 years since Cocktail or something like that.
Yeah.
I said, wow. I said, no wonder people keep complaining and saying, what have you been doing?
No, but looking forward to all your wonderful work, and best of luck.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you so much.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.